The Galactic Empire had ruled the known universe for 12,000 years. They had conquered over 900 species. They had destroyed civilizations that dared to challenge them. Their fleet numbered in the millions. Their technology was so advanced that lesser species called it magic. Emperor the Eternal sat upon his throne made from the bones of defeated kings. He had never known fear in his 300 years of life. He had never seen his admirals tremble. He had never watched his council members go pale with terror. But today was different. Today everything changed. The message came from the outer rim of the galaxy. A small observation station had detected something entering their space. At first, the operators thought their equipment was broken. They ran the scans again and again. The results remained the same. A single ship had crossed into Imperial territory, but this ship was unlike anything they had ever recorded. It was not large by Imperial standards. Their battle cruisers were 10 times its size. Their dreadnoughts could swallow it whole. Yet the energy readings coming from this vessel made no sense. The power output was impossible. It was generating more energy than a small star. This should not exist according to every law of physics they understood. Admiral was the first to receive the full report. He was a veteran of 200 battles. He had crushed rebellions on 100 worlds. His scales had turned gray with age and wisdom. But when he read the data, his 4 hands began to shake. He immediately ordered a communication blackout. No one outside the high command could know about this. He rushed to the Imperial Palace with the information. The guards had never seen him move so fast. They had never seen such fear in his ancient eyes. The Emperor summoned his war council within the hour. 12 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered in the throne room. They represented the combined military might of 900 conquered worlds. Together, they commanded enough firepower to shatter planets. They had faced every threat the universe could offer, or so they believed. Admiral stood before them and activated the holographic display. The image of the alien ship appeared. It looked crude compared to Imperial designs. Its hull was thick and angular. It had none of the elegant curves that marked advanced civilizations. But then the Admiral showed them the energy readings. Silence filled the throne room. Lord Commander of the Eastern Fleet was the first to speak. He demanded to know if this was some kind of joke. Admiral assured him it was not. The readings had been 17 times. They had used 3 different scanning methods. The results were always the same. This single ship was producing more power than their entire home fleet combined. High Priestess clutched her sacred texts. She whispered that this was the prophecy coming true. For thousands of years, her order had spoken of beings from beyond the known stars. They called them the Awakened Ones. They said these beings would come when the Empire had grown too proud. The other council members told her to be silent. They did not believe in old superstitions, but their voices lacked conviction. General demanded they destroy the vessel immediately. He ordered the nearest battle group to intercept and eliminate the threat. 40 warships changed course toward the unknown craft. They were the pride of the Imperial Navy. Each one carried enough weapons to burn continents. Together, they had never failed to destroy any target. The Council watched through long-range sensors as their ships approached the alien vessel. They expected a quick victory. They expected to watch the strange ship burn. Instead, they watched their entire battle group vanish from existence. The alien ship had not fired a single visible weapon. There was no beam of energy. There was no missile launch. One moment 40 Imperial warships existed. The next moment they were simply gone, not destroyed, not damaged, gone, as if they had never been there at all. The scanning stations detected a brief energy surge from the alien vessel. It lasted less than 1 second. In that single second, 40 ships and 30,000 crew members ceased to exist. The council members stared at the empty space where their fleet had been. No one spoke for a long time. Emperor finally broke the silence. His voice was steady, but those who knew him could hear the strain beneath his words. He ordered all available fleets to converge on the alien vessel's position. He commanded every shipyard to increase production. He declared a state of total war across the entire empire. For the first time in 8,000 years, the emergency protocols were activated. Every species under Imperial control was mobilized. Every resource was redirected to military purposes. The Emperor was preparing for a fight that would determine the fate of their civilization. But the alien ship did not wait for them to prepare. It continued moving deeper into Imperial space. Its course was direct and unwavering. It was heading straight for the capital world. Nothing they sent against it made any difference. A second fleet of 200 ships tried to block its path. They fired everything they had. Plasma cannons that could melt through planetary shields, gravity weapons that could tear apart stars, biological missiles that could poison entire ecosystems. Nothing touched the alien vessel. Every attack simply disappeared before reaching its hull. Then the ship responded. Another brief energy surge. Another fleet erased from reality. Panic spread through the Empire faster than any plague. Worlds that had been loyal for suddenly remembered their old grudges. Conquered species saw an opportunity for freedom. Rebellions erupted on 30 different planets within a single day. The Imperial forces were stretched thin trying to maintain order while also facing this impossible threat. The economy collapsed as trade routes shut down. Citizens hoarded supplies and prepared for the end. Priests of 100 different religions declared that Judgment Day had arrived. The mighty Galactic Empire was falling apart from fear alone. Council debated constantly about what to do. Some wanted to surrender immediately. They argued that any species with such technology could not be defeated, better to submit and hope for mercy. Others refused to give up. They insisted that the Empire must fight to the last soldier. A few suggested they should try to communicate with the vessel. Perhaps these beings wanted something other than destruction. Perhaps a deal could be made, but fear had clouded their judgment. No one could agree on anything. The greatest military power in galactic history was paralyzed by indecision. Then the transmissions began. The alien ship started broadcasting a message on all frequencies. At first, the Imperial linguists could not understand it. The language was completely unknown, but within hours they had cracked the basic structure. The message was simple. It was not a declaration of war. It was not a demand for surrender. It was an introduction. The beings aboard the ship called themselves humans. They came from a small planet on the far edge of the galaxy, a planet called Earth. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. They were explorers, not conquerors. They had come in peace. The Council did not believe this message. How could such powerful beings come in peace? It had to be a trick, a deception to lower their defenses before the final attack. Emperor agreed with this assessment. He ordered the remaining fleets to launch a coordinated assault. Over 3,000 warships gathered for the attack. It was the largest military operation in Imperial history. Every surviving admiral commanded their vessels personally. They would either destroy this threat or die trying. The assault began at exactly midnight Imperial time. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, the Imperial Navy existed only in memory. 3,000 warships were gone. Millions of soldiers were dead. The most powerful military force the galaxy had ever known had been completely annihilated, and the alien ship continued on its course without even slowing down. It had not attacked. It had only defended itself. Every ship that fired upon it was erased. Ships that held their fire were left alone. The humans were telling the truth. They had not come to conquer, but they would not allow themselves to be attacked. The human ship arrived at the capital world 3 days later. It took position in orbit directly above the Imperial Palace. Every weapon on the planet was aimed at it. Every soldier stood ready to fight. Every citizen waited for destruction to rain from the sky, but nothing happened. Instead, a small shuttle detached from the main vessel. It descended slowly through the atmosphere. It landed gently in the palace courtyard. The doors opened, and for the first time, the Empire saw what a human looked like. They were small compared to most imperial species. They had no claws or fangs, no natural armor or venom. They looked soft and fragile. 2 of them stepped out of the shuttle. One was male and one was female. They wore simple gray uniforms with no visible weapons. They walked calmly toward the palace entrance as if they were visiting friends. The guards did not know whether to attack or bow. They simply stood frozen in confusion. Emperor met the humans in his throne room. He was surrounded by his personal guard. 300 of the deadliest warriors in the galaxy stood ready to protect him. The humans seemed unimpressed. They introduced themselves as ambassador and captain. They explained that humanity had been watching the Empire for some time. They had observed how the Empire treated conquered species. They had recorded the atrocities committed in the name of order. They were not pleased with what they had seen. But they had not come to punish the Empire. They had come to offer a choice. Humanity believed that every species had the potential for growth. They believed that even the civilization could learn compassion. The Empire could continue as it was, isolated and alone, or it could join a new community of equals. The conquered species would be freed. The slave markets would be closed. The Empire would become just one nation among many. In exchange, humanity would share their knowledge. They would help the Empire understand technologies beyond anything they had imagined. Emperor laughed at this offer. He declared that the Empire would never submit to such terms. He ordered his guards to kill the human ambassadors. 300 warriors rushed forward with their weapons raised. Ambassador simply sighed. She touched a small device on her wrist. Every guard in the room suddenly found themselves unable to move. Their muscles had locked in place. Their weapons fell from frozen fingers. They could still breathe and blink, but nothing else. Captain explained that this was a demonstration, not an attack. The guards would recover in a few hours with no lasting harm. He wanted the Emperor to understand something important. Humanity could have destroyed the Empire completely. Their single ship could have burned every world to ash. They chose not to because they believed in second chances. But this mercy had limits. If the Empire refused to change, humanity would simply leave them alone. The Empire would eventually collapse under its own weight. The rebellions would spread. The economy would fail. Within a century, there would be nothing left. Or the Emperor could choose a different path. He could be remembered as the ruler who brought his people into a new age. He could transform the Empire into something greater than it had ever been. The choice was entirely his. Ambassador and captain returned to their shuttle without another word. They flew back to their ship in orbit. The galaxy held its breath waiting to see what would happen next. Emperor sat alone in his throne room for 7 days. He did not eat or sleep. He thought about everything his empire had done. He thought about the species they had crushed. He thought about the worlds they had burned. He thought about the legacy he would leave behind. On the 8th day, he emerged from his isolation. He summoned his council and made an announcement that shocked the entire galaxy. The Empire would accept humanity's offer. The slaves would be freed. The conquered worlds would gain their independence. A new era was beginning. The transition was not easy. Many imperial nobles resisted the changes. Some tried to assassinate the emperor. Others fled to distant systems to maintain their power. But humanity kept their promise. They helped manage the chaos. They provided technology that made the old economy unnecessary. They showed the empire that cooperation was more profitable than conquest. Slowly, painfully, the Galactic Empire transformed into something new. Years later, historians would mark this period as the most important in galactic history. They would write about how a single human ship changed everything. They would debate whether humanity was truly peaceful or simply so powerful that peace cost them nothing. They would wonder what other secrets the humans kept hidden. But one fact remained undisputed. The day humanity's warship arrived was the day everything changed. The galaxy would never be the same.